Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining in. So, as I'm giving this little chit chat, I invite you to the practice of tuning in, of observing your body, having the intention, the will to take in life energy, to take in natural, healing, divine energy. As you listen to what I'm about to share, part of the reason why to do this is it feels good. And the other reason is it's natural. Just as it's natural for us to breathe moment by moment, it's actually natural for us to take in, to absorb life energy moment by moment. That knowledge has been lost. And it's a little radical, right? Both the practice of observing our body moment by moment, but also this practice of intending to take in positive energy. It's not, most of us haven't spent most of our life moment by moment trying to take in good energy. So it can seem a little radical at first. And at first, the goal isn't to take it in 24/7. It's just to sit down and find time every day, preferably twice a day at least, to take this in. So, someone recently wrote on a comment that she was really appreciating, Bruno Groening and his teachings and this path, but it was hard for her because she had Christian beliefs. And while most of what Bruno Groening teaches is completely compatible with modern Christianity, there are some places where it can be challenging, and there are differences between the modern presentation of what Christ taught and Bruno Groening's teachings. She said she was in a path of unlearning. And so, whether you're a Christian or an atheist or a Buddhist or a scientist, all of us actually are on the path of unlearning. See, all of our problems boil down to untrue beliefs. And Bruno Groening pointed this out very clearly, that we have been taught wrongly by people who were taught wrongly by their elders, who were taught wrongly by their elders. Kind of like these rumors have been passed along as if they're true, and we believe them. Really specifically, we've been taught wrongly who we are, what life is about, and what God is. And what's the path? What's the path that actually works? Because there's many paths out there, spiritual paths presented, but what's a path that actually works? What's the way? What's a way of life, a way of living that actually helps us find freedom, peace, health, and harmonious living? So we've basically been taught wrongly about everything. We've been taught, maybe accurately, like, oh, that thing is called a tree, or oh, this is called a shirt. Like, we've been taught lots of information. In fact, our education system is kind of based on teaching information. But what if, what if all of us have been taught incorrectly of the most important aspects of life, who we are and what life is about, and what God is. Not just what life is about, but how to live. I mean, if we look around the planet today, it's pretty obvious that we as human beings, we don't know how to live correctly. We don't know how to live in a harmonious, proper way. So all of us are on this path of unlearning what's not true and recognizing or remembering what is true. So the funny thing is, the sort of tragically ironic thing is, not only have we been taught so many things are not true, but we've been taught incorrectly how to learn and how to find what's true. So it really kind of can become a catch-22 because we're all seeking truth and happiness and right. But we've been taught to look in the wrong ways. Normally, how we've been taught is to read books and to think about things. But what Bruno Groening offered was a much more direct, in our bones, in our guts way to find truth. And a lot of it is based around this simple practice of observing your body, having the intention to take in positive energy. He said, if you do this simple practice of observing your body, having that intention to absorb life energy, that the truth will actually reveal itself inside of you, that you actually won't need books or teachers or ministers or gurus or therapists. Not that there's anything wrong with any of those things. And some of those things I still receive help and support from, but I don't look to them any longer to help me understand what is true. If we observe our bodies, Bruno Groening says the truth will reveal itself inside of us, that God will actually reveal itself. So that where we as a species went wrong was we listened to untruth. Bruno Groening said that initially God, just as the account in the Bible, it says that that man was made in the image and likeness of God, that's how God created us. In the image and likeness of God. I never really took that to heart before Bruno Groening's teachings, he says we are a divine creation, a divine marvel, children of God. And that truth is right there in the Bible as well. The image and likeness of God, that we are, in a sense, we're divine. Not that we're God. That's a very interesting idea that's floating around right now, but that we are divine. We are sacred, we're holy, and that we have the divine spark inside of us. Almost like we have a piece of God inside of us. Sorry, the phone's ringing. Let me go turn it off.
Call from.
Live broadcast. So according to Bruno Groening, human beings were made fair, good, and beautiful, healthy. That's how we were created. And that we lived in a state of unity with God, and that all was one. And then, Bruno Groening says, the first person listened to a voice outside of that unity and acted and did what the voice said. And that created disconnect between us and the divine. So we're all unlearning because the original problem was we learned, we took in an untrue idea. And it's been spiraling ever since, getting worse and worse. We as a species have just, over time, we've gotten further and further away from God and nature. So we're in the process, or what Bruno Groening called us to, he called it the great turnaround, the great reversal, because we as a species are on a downhill slope. We all know it. I mean, the state of the world, anyone who looks, it's pretty clear. Things are getting worse. And so we as individuals, Bruno Groening called us, and actually called all of humanity, to completely turn around the path they were on, to take a new path. And a key part of that path is unlearning, is letting go of that which isn't true. Letting go of ideas like that human beings are inherently bad. That's not how we were made. We were not made inherently bad or inherently sinful. Sorry. Well, not sorry, but I mean, I used to believe that. And what a horrible thing what a painful thing to believe that God made us inherently sinful, inherently evil, bad, however you want to label it. Yuck. And taking on the idea that we're divine creations, that we were made in the image of likeness of God, that we're children of God who have acquired evil habits or negative habits, destructive habits, truly destructive habits. And letting go of our ideas of God, that God is vengeful or wrathful, judgmental, punishing. And getting back to the basics, that God is a loving parent, that God is love itself. And letting go of our ideas about what life is about. What is life about? What's the meaning of life? Sadly, what we've been taught that the meaning of life is to acquire money, to find a partner, acquire money, have fun, have experiences, which all those things are nice and can be positive and good, but that doesn't give life meaning. That gives no meaning to life. Those things are enjoyable. But is that what life is really about? What I've realized through studying and more importantly, practicing what Bruno Groening taught is that life is about connection to God. Life is about service, about helping others, and that life is about growth and healing and fun, having fun doing all those things. Bruno Groening said life is like a game. So once we begin to get clear on some of the fundamentals of life, who we are, that we're a soul, that we're an eternal soul on a journey, that what God is the giver of life, the generous giver of life who created us, created this universe for us, in a sense, to play in, to learn in. And that God is love and wants only the good for us, wants only happiness for us. And then once we get clear on what life is about, but to get clear on just those three things, it's quite a bit of unlearning, because we've been taught some very untrue things. We've been taught that we are a body. Like, oh, this is me. When actually, what I've come to realize is actually this is like the vessel or the temple that my soul lives in. Um, they have these science fiction movies. It's very popular in Japan, where these human beings get inside of a giant robot. And like, if the human moves their arm, then the giant robot moves its arm, right? Like the human moves, and then this big giant robot moves. And I think that's a beautiful metaphor or analogy for what we are. We're this eternal soul that lives inside this body, that moves this body, but we're not this body. This body is a gift from God. It's a gift to us, and we get to experience life through this body. So to conclude, the person who left a comment that inspired this video, she said, she had a lot of unlearning to do, and it was challenging for her to approach these teachings because of beliefs she had. We're all on a path of unlearning. We've all been taught we've all been taught wrongly. basically. We've all been told things that just aren't true. And as they say in computer language, garbage in, garbage out. If, you know, if we've been told things that aren't true, it's going to create havoc in our life. And we believe them if we believe them. So, thanks so much for joining in. It looks like we have two live people joining in. Thanks so much. If you have any questions or comments, please post them in the comment section. And I wish all of us, blessed and glorious unlearning of what's not true and recognition and realization. Not so much in our mind, but in our hearts, in our guts, in our soul, in our bones, coming to know. Coming to know the truth. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Someone just said that God just spoke through you. Oh my gosh, you just made my day. Well, I'm feeling very touched by that. And I think what I can say is this, is that, according to Bruno Groening, if we do this practice of observing our body and taking in divine energy, if we do that, we will recognize the truth inside of ourselves, and then we can speak from our own experience. And part of that recognition is the knowing that the divine spark lives within us, and connecting to that and living from that and letting that guide our words and our deeds and our actions. So thank you so much for that feedback, and to whatever extent that I was able to connect to that divine spark that's inside of me, that's inside all of us, then maybe that would be accurate. Maybe the divine did speak through me. Thanks so much. And thanks for joining in, to those who joined in live. Take care, and I wish all of you much love and much good positive energy. Take care. Aloha.